Brian, my man, good morning.
Good morning, bro.
Thanks for being here, dude. This is on my little trip to LA in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I love you. You're actually in the Pacific Palisades.
The Palisades
Yeah.
near Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice neighborhood.
It is. It's great, man. I mean, I've hiked over here a few times. I love it.
That's dope. Well, I thought it was I have a good idea of how to start this off, and then we'll explain why this is important.
Okay.
And I love it. There's no pre-plan. I didn't pre-screen you or anything, so that's what I like to do. Let's rap. So I'll be your hype man if you rap the Kanye verse.
Okay. All right. You want me to do the Kanye verse?
Let's do it, dude. What Kanye verse I'm talking about, so just go for it.
I just needed time alone with my own thoughts. Got treasures in my mind, but couldn't open up my own vault. My childlike creativity, purity, and honesty is honestly being crowded by these grown thoughts. Reality is catching up to me. Taking my inner child, I feel like I'm fighting for custody with these responsibilities that they entrusted me. As I look down on my gold, trusted, encased Jesus piece.
Yeah. There we go, dude. Okay, I love it. That's how we start it. I remember that album, and I love how you use that as a reference of how that was such a pivotal point for you.
Yeah.
Because music definitely does have that that impact, but so what specifically? Let's go right after kind of the moment you were in and why that was so important. But what lyrics had an impact on you?
It was the thing about I just need time alone with my own thoughts. I got these treasures, I got these dreams, I got these ideas, I got these things that I want to do, but I can't open up my own vault. I can't figure it out. I don't necessarily know how to go about doing it. I don't have the clarity that I need. I don't have the connections. So that verse spoke to me. I'm a huge Kanye fan, and I've heard people, when I'm doing webinars and training and coaching or on the stage, and they're like, a song prevented you from wanting to take. I'm like,
but that's what I love it. I love it though.
It's the power of music. Going back to what you said, and so it was those lyrics specifically. I mean, the entire verse. Like I say it in the book. I say it all the time. I've heard those lyrics 1,000 times, but specifically for some reason on that day, they stood out to me more than ever.
That's dope, dude. So let's go into that moment of where were you in your life and your feelings and your emotions at that time?
So I was working I was consulting for a nonprofit, and I was the national field director or project manager, so to speak. And I had promised, it was my job to go into the community and find those specific, how can I say this without necessarily giving anything away? It was just my job to go into the community to identify what areas didn't have access to broadband. And so through that, it was also my job to identify those impoverished areas, those after-school programs those schools that needed after-school programs specifically that didn't have access to the internet. And so I had promised a lot of kids and a lot of program directors around the country computers. And so the CEO of the company that I was working for had started misappropriating the funds. He was more interested in having Super Bowl parties and doing certain things.
Okay.
And so we started running out of money. And so all of the people, the thousands of kids around the country that I had promised computers, I was not able to deliver them to. And that really hit me. It really hurt me. So I had to quit my job. I had to walk away because there was some stuff I just didn't want to be associated with that. And at the time, I was heavily investing into my dreams and not having saving. I was saving for what? I'm investing into my dreams. So shortly after that, man, I ended up, getting evicted from my home, hiding my car in my apartment because it was on the verge of being repossessed. And I was just in a rough phase of just trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. What was, looking back at it, so in this show, I uncomfortably like to kind of stick around those moments. Yeah. Because we already know the good news.
Right. We know the good news.
We know the
do.
good news. You're out, you're here, right? And what was one of those moments, looking back, of you're man, I can't believe I lived through that. Because I know there's some moments that you're just what?
Yeah, there's a few moments. I'll give you three. The first one was taking showers at LA Fitness. The second one was really sleeping in my car, having to navigate and figure it out. And the third one would be drinking so much to the point I was blacking out and just wanting
Wow.
to numb the pain. You know, the amount that I would start, early in the day. I would go to Chili's up the street because I eventually started living on a friend's couch, and I just had developed a relationship with the bartender and all the bartenders, to be quite frank with you. And
Wow.
there I go up there and sit and drink and eat chips and salsa. 'cause
And they
that
would
was
just give
free.
you drinks. Where they give you drinks free?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much. I mean, I tip them at the end of the day, but
But still.
whatever I had, and
Yeah.
man, my mom was giving me like $50 a week. Like, my mom's not rich. We didn't, I didn't come from money, but she was giving me what she could, and yeah, man, that's what I was doing at the time.
And that's what's crazy, like, because we really do overlook that stuff so easily.
Yeah.
But did you like lived it? Like,
Right. Right.
Like when you think back to it, even right now, does it bring up moments of, I don't want triggers, like, or any means, like, of like
Yeah.
what does it bring up?
That's a great question. No, it doesn't. I think for me now, it's more so about, man, there are so many people out there that are dealing with something similar.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter that I went through it and I came out on the other side, what about that experience and what have I learned along this journey can I directly give to people? Because I know that there are tons of people out there in the world who are struggling with things like that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's pretty much my focus, and really trying to dial down into where how I overcame isn't the standard. It's not the only way, but it is a way. And so hopefully the advice that I can help, give people is something for them to be able to get out of the situation that they're in.
Well, I like that. I like how you said it's just a way, because I've thought of this before. When you watch people or you research people or listen books, conferences, that's like you feel like sometimes like that's the only way.
Right.
But it's like, no, that's just an inspiration. Like
Right.
we're all different. So what is your way? How did you get out of that?
Oh, so the first thing is that I'm spiritual, and I grew up really, really religious. Growing up in the South, you said you lived in Greenville for quite some time, so I grew up in the Bible Belt. I was in church every Sunday. Grew up really, really religious, and at that particular time when I hit rock bottom, I had asked God, like, listen, strip me down. This is crazy. Right before all of that happened, I was just in a place in my life where I just felt as if I wasn't really getting that achievement or wasn't really striking the goal that I wanted to strike. And so I had asked God, I was like, listen, just please strip me down from anything, like completely, like I just want to get so aligned with what my dreams are. I don't care what you got to take me through to get me to where I need to go. And so it started there, but I didn't really think about that until maybe like a
Till it
few
actually
years,
happened.
like after,
Okay.
like I look back and I was like, wow.
Like you got what you asked for.
Yeah.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, one of those things. And so for me, the difference in all of this is that we try to do things on our own. And so I had found a mentor, somebody who had already did something very similar to what I wanted to do. I was broke, didn't have a lot of money, but I knew I had skills that I could add value to him. And so I reached out to him, and we had already had a previous relationship.
And you were in Alabama or in Atlanta?
I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta at the time. And so I reached out to him, and like I said, we had a mutual relationship. And I told him, I said, listen, what you do is so great. I want to learn. You don't have to pay me nothing. I don't necessarily know what areas in your business you need help specifically, but I want to just come learn. And I just want to come work with you. Are you open to that? And he told me to come out to L.A., and so I had some sky miles from all the traveling that I was doing. And he said, come out here first and see if you like it. And I came out here, and it just felt right. It just felt right. It's just one of those aha moments where everything felt right. So I went back home and reached out to a bunch of my friends and told them what my plan was, what I was doing. Nobody knew the specifics, but I told them I had lost my job and I was getting ready to transition to Los Angeles. And so I rounded up some money from friends and family members and got on the plane. And by the time I had paid off some stuff and just tried to position myself, I had $325 in a red suitcase. And so going back to your initial question, it was finding somebody who had already done what I was looking to do. That's how I got out of my situation.
That's cool. And so how many years ago was that you moved?
This December 9th, it'll be 7 years.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about your talent producing. So did you, obviously you came out, were you doing that in Atlanta before you came to LA?
I was kind of talent producing. Going back to what I said initially, I was like the national field director. I also would like have to bring and corral celebrities for our events. So my process was, I would go out into these different cities, connect with local municipalities to figure out and do an assessment of who were some of the key players in that market, to figure out why broadband was needed, because it was all about access. Because these, there's a lot of gentrification going on. There's a lot of areas and pockets that just don't have access to broadband and to the internet. And so, education is derailed, healthcare is derailed. This is before electronic medical records became a big thing. Like all of this stuff, all of these different areas, civic participation, there's so many different areas. And so for me, it was a matter of going out into the community, identifying the key players, and then we would have this huge summit. And with the huge summit, we would invite celebrities to be a part of that. Okay. So it was a part of my process to get celebrities on board before I did that. And the guy who I reached out to, his name is Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley is a well-known journalist, has several New York Times best-selling books out. He's been on Time Magazine's most influential people in the world several times. He's interviewed presidents. He's had his own show for over 10 years. And he was the person who I had a relationship with that I reached out to help me get out here. And so, yeah.
And then from there, you started technically talent producing.
Yeah, so when I got out here December the 9th. It was on a Sunday. I'll never forget.
I like how you remember specifics. 736 book sales on December 9th. Here we go.
I mean, yeah, December 9th, 2012. Yeah. I got out here on a Sunday. As soon as I landed, his assistant picked me up. I went and dropped my bags off, and we met at a diner. And so 2 weeks before I got ready to come out here, the producer of this event that he was doing for the presidential inauguration was leaving. And so he asked me 2 weeks before I moved out here, he was like, do you think you can produce this event? Now, I don't know what she was doing.
That's pretty quick.
But as soon as I got there, I got handed a manila folder. And essentially, I had to do everything. Book all of the talent, produce the event, like truly produce the event, find the venue. And this was the event was going to be January 17th, 2013. So I had from December 9th to December 9th to January 17th to produce talent, find a venue, do all of this stuff with C-SPAN and CNN. Like, it was crazy. And if you can imagine doing that through the holidays, I was working 20-hour days, and that was something that's really memorable for me, because I was broke, but I wasn't all the way broken. And I was trying to prove myself to him that I could do this. And, I got it done. And when I got it done, it trended #1 on Twitter. And he looked at me.
The event did?
Yeah.
Wow.
It trended #1 on Twitter. This was during the presidential inauguration, Barack's second term, or President Obama, respectfully. And he looked at me and he said, I can't afford to lose you. What would it cost for me to keep you?
Wow.
And I said, he said, take some time, go away. And so after a few days, I came back to him and I gave him a number, and he was like, and I was like, what? He was like, man, I thought you were going to charge me more. And so that was a lesson learned for me, because I thought the amount that I had put out there was high, substantial. And so I went on to produce another event for him. That one did well too. And then I got a call to come on to the Arsenio Hall show to oversee talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so that's crazy. So December 7th? Okay, I'm going to try.
No, December 9th.
Sorry, December 9th.
Yep.
To Arsenio Hall. How many months was that?
So it was from December. I got the call for Arsenio in April, May.
Dude, that's so quick.
Yeah.
Like that turnaround doesn't happen for a lot of people. Why do you think that turnaround happened for you?
Well, the executive producer of Tavis's TV show also was executive producing the event that I did. And so he's a huge Alabama fan, and his family's from Alabama.
Okay.
And so when I heard that he was leaving Tavis to go to Arsenio and he was going to be executive producer of that show, I reached out to him and asked him if there was anything that I could help him with. I just want to help. Remember, I'm in that process. I'm just trying to add value. I'm just trying to help. Wasn't looking for a job, any of that stuff. And he said, yeah, come over and just talk to me. Like, let's just sit down and talk. And so I went in, I talked, and we didn't say shit about a job. We didn't talk about a job. We talked about Alabama football for 2 hours. And so it got to the point where I'm like sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, are we gonna like what's going on? And he goes, so you remember that event that you did for Tavis? And I said, yeah. He goes, that was the best event I've ever seen. And the way that you were around talent, the way that you handled, he said, I don't know how you handled, because you're talking about Newt Gingrich and like all of these high level, elected
and
officials.
Like politicians and like officials. Like that's another level, man.
Yes, like next level. And so you're dealing with their security and all that stuff. And he was like, listen, man, the way that you handled those people, I want you to come over here, and if you can oversee the talent for Arsenio, would you be open to that? And I'm like, open. I'm like, and I'm still at this point, I'm not thinking job. I'm thinking I'm just helping.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, so we'll have the executive in charge reach out to talk about salary and all that stuff. I'll let you all figure that out. And dude, at the time, my girlfriend was outside waiting on me. Yeah, I got a girlfriend quick, as soon as I moved to LA. And man, I walked outside those doors and I just dropped to my knees and I cried, because it's like everything that I had been working hard for, finally, like I felt like I could breathe a little bit, I
just got chills, dude. But like, so you asked you asked God to like strip you. So going back and looking at it, what did he strip you of? Like, let's start there. Like, what was the bare bones moment of where you felt like you were like?
He took away that security blanket.
Which was
my job. I feel like he put it into me for things to start happening for me to walk away from that opportunity. It wasn't that they fired me or anything like that. But, man, listen, I've been really, conscious and aware of, I've been put on this planet to inspire people. And it stems back to my childhood of just playing sports, of always wanting to be the rah-rah guy, always being the leader, always being the captain on the team. I was quarterback, I was the point guard. I was always in those leadership positions. And what I've come to find out as an adult is that some of us have a calling in life. Very few answer the calling.
No, very, very few.
Very few answer the calling. And those that have a calling have a real like responsibility to humanity. And you're going to go through, or I say grow through stuff that's more intense than a lot of people normally would, because the calling is so heavy. And so for me, man, I felt like God he was calling me. He was calling me. And so he just stripped me down of pretty much everything to really get clear and focused on what he wanted me to do and what direction that he wanted me to go in. And I remember watching Arsenio Hall. Like, this is a true story.
That's cool.
I was watching Pastor Joel Osteen. I was watching Bishop T.D. Jakes. I watched The Pursuit of Happiness probably 600 times. Literally, I probably watched Coming to America the same. And I said to myself, there was an aha moment one day. I was just like, because I was down, dude. I just didn't have no money. I was just trying to figure it out, just trying to hustle any way I could to just get some money legally. And I said, man, one day I'm going to work with them. Somehow, some way, I'm going to work with them. Because this was around the time I was asking myself, man, what is your dream? Like, what do you ultimately want to do? And are you living your dream? And when you're at the bottom, you have nothing to lose. You have absolutely nothing to lose. And I hate that it took somewhat of a catastrophic event for me to get to that point, and which is why, with this book, I say that I don't want people to get to that moment where you lose everything to have to finally like start acknowledging your dreams. But I said I was going to work with everybody. Within 6 months, I had worked with, I'm now on the Arsenio Hall show.
That's crazy. 6 months. That's wild, man.
Yeah, dealing with Arsenio Hall on a daily basis. We booked Pastor Joel Osteen. I'm lying. We didn't book Pastor Joel Osteen, but I built a relationship with his people. Although he didn't come on the show, I got a chance to meet with him and talk to him. We booked Bishop T.D. Jakes. And then recently, 2 years ago, I got a chance to work with Will Smith, and I got a chance to tell him thank you for The Pursuit of Happiness, because that changed my life. Because that feeling when Will walked out of that door after he got that yes at the end, like that's how I felt when I first got the job with Arsenio. Yeah.
Did you literally drop down to your knees?
Oh, absolutely.
I love it, man.
I have no problem sharing my emotions. I will cry. Yeah, like,
I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Was it just like right outside the door? You just immediately
absolutely. Yep. He didn't see it. The executive producer, he didn't see it, but I did it. Yeah. As soon as I felt to my knees.
Dude, that's so cool. Like, man, like. Yeah, props on that.
Thank you.
That's just so cool. What working with all the talent you have, of course, we like to say they're normal people, but, or even with someone watching you speak, they're like, yeah, Brian, we get it.
Right.
You were suicidal, you've
Right.
gone through stuff, but you don't understand me.
Right.
So what is something that you've noticed in successful, because just because you're famous doesn't mean you're successful,
Right.
or at that time or in that moment.
Right.
It depends on your definition. But what's something on what you deem as success? What's something in common that people wouldn't expect?
From celebrities,
Yeah.
the the urge or the desire to stay relevant.
Hmm.
And if they're not relevant, they're not successful. And that bothers them sometimes, a lot of times. And so I've noticed that. I've also noticed that, there's certain celebrities who are on camera, like they bring it off camera, they're to themselves. They really don't really want to be bothered because they may be processing and having a lot of different things going on. I've also noticed more so than anything, the power and the influence that they have on humans. And some of them are conscious of it. Some of them aren't conscious of it. The ones that are conscious, you have some that use it to the greater good, and you have some that use it for their own personal good. And I say the greater good in the sense where they utilize it in a way where they want to affect and use that platform to help inspire and bring about, more change to a lot of people globally. Some people are just really just self-sabotaging. It's all about them. It's all about them. So I've seen a lot of it. But more importantly, man, I always get to ask the question to a lot of celebrities, because I'm notorious for asking them, what advice could you give me? And a lot of them are always just talking about, man, just being committed. Like, you have to truly be committed if you want this or if you want anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
LL Cool J told me once, he said, regardless, you have to look yourself in the mirror. You are an African American in an industry that's not necessarily, or a world that's not really necessarily beneficial for you. You got to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show up earlier. You got to be the best when you get there. You got to stay late. You got to be the best. And so that resonated with me. Most recently, I had a conversation with Snoop Dogg, and I told him, I said, Snoop, your voice is needed. Anytime you speak, you transcend culture.
Yeah.
Like, you had a show with Martha Stewart. You know what
literally
I mean?
Literally, the sound of his voice and just like what he says.
Yes,
Yeah,
and you listen to Snoop Dogg, and he's so honest. I mean, this guy was he's a former gang member. Like he's been through it all, but he's so vulnerable. He's so honest, and he always shares so much. And I was a little hesitant, but I told Snoop, I said, Snoop, man, listen, respectfully so, your voice is needed. I need you to open up your mouth more.
Wow.
I need you to open up your mouth more, because when you open up your mouth, people listen, and you always got something to say. And he stepped back and took his shades off.
Yeah.
And he goes, I appreciate you for being real and honest and raw enough to have that conversation with me, to even tell me that. I appreciate you for being
That's
who
dope.
you are, and the world needs more people like you. And it was just like, I'm the kid from Skipperville 7 years ago who was trying to, consider taking my life and just trying to figure it out. And here I am having a conversation with Snoop. And he looks at me and he says, the world needs more people like me.
That's pretty dope, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just soaking that in right now.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So 7 years, you've accomplished a lot. I know you're someone who's always going to keep improving and growing. So what's the big vision, right now? What are you headed toward?
I'll say this. I don't even feel like I've gotten started.
Dude, and that's fun. Dude, even talking to you right now, I kind of feel like the same way for you. I don't want to use the word bigger because, I don't like comparisons, but Jay, obviously the biggest content, viral person on Facebook. And just sitting and talking with you and watching your videos and researching you, and even more so talking to you now, it's dude, I'm just saying I totally feel that you're just getting started.
Yeah, I'm just now getting started. I think through the 7 years, there's been a lot of curiosity, and a lot of me just trying to figure out certain things. It's more so like trying to find your voice.
Mm.
And so for me, I've been just behind the scenes building relationships and learning the skill to become competent. And, you know, my business partner and I, man, like, you know, she saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And we came together and figured out a way to start going out, and we created this web series called the Dreamer Series. You know, we traveled the country interviewing people, and, you know, we didn't necessarily have the best business plan together, but we started doing things. And so I think through
I can resonate with that.
Yeah. I think through me
Yeah.
trying things, I mean, I put out this book 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This October is going to be the 5-year anniversary. I've done my book tour. I feel like I've been doing a lot of testing and building relationships and building skill.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've gotten to that point where I'm confident enough to fully go out and exercise those in a way to bring about true transformation to the world. I can take my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
everything I've learned personally, professionally, and really give something to people. I put out my first 2 videos that were for, say, Jay Shetty-ish style.
Yeah.
And, man, they reached over 2.7 million people.
Did you promote those at all?
No.
See, yeah, and that's crazy.
Organic. And so, you know, for years,
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to put out content,
Yeah.
but I've gotten 500 views, 300 views,
Yeah.
137 views. But I did have to make the investment into a production company to learn to utilize their resources
Mm-hmm.
and their infrastructure. And so, you know, the first video about suicide, I put that out, and, you know, it's gotten close to 250,000
Yep.
views. It's doing really well. And then I put another one out about success, and that's doing really well too. And so the amount of the responses that I've gotten from people, the messages, how you saved my life. I got to give you this story real quick.
Yeah, dude.
So, true
Let's do
story. My business partner, she can attest to this. I put out the suicide video, and there's this guy who inboxes me, and so I immersed myself into my messenger because I wanted, into comments, into everything, because eventually I'm going to hire somebody to do all of that. But for now, I wanted to feel, I wanted to understand, I wanted to know before I bring somebody on board to actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this guy that messaged me. He's like, man, listen, my wife left me. She took my 2 kids. I'm not able to see my 2 kids. I am just at the point where I don't want to live anymore. He said it's too heavy to burden. It's just it's too much. And anybody that always says this to me, I've come to find out, and this is not any type of psychological study or anything that I've read, but what I've found through my experience, anytime you're in a position like that and you're thinking about yourself, always tell people to go serve somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Go volunteer. Remove this thing and this pain about you, because there's something about the human connection and emotion that we have, but when we help somebody else, there's a reason why it feels good. And so when you do that, you alleviate and get rid of self. And so we're talking, and then all of a sudden he's like, I just can't do it anymore. And he falls off the face of the earth.
No way.
And I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm like, God, I pray that this guy does not do anything to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start going through his Facebook, stalking him in a way, and I find some family members, and I reach out to his family members, and I guess I came across his dad. And so I sent his dad a message, and he goes, I say, do you know so-and-so? I think, you know, he's in a bit of a crisis right now. I was very careful about my wording. I think you should check on him. And he goes, his response was something like, F you. And I said, okay. And he goes, if you send me something else like this, I'm going to find you and I'm going to hurt you.
Ugh.
This guy's in England. Like, he's in England, and he seems like he's a real, or he might be Dutch or something. He's going to come from my head. I'm saying, I want to have the Dutch mafia on me. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I let it be. 5 days later, he sends me a message.
The father.
The father apologizing, saying that he didn't know that his son, who he felt was so strong, was dealing with something like that.
Mm.
And so he said, you know, I'm extremely apologetic. Thank you so much. He's on watch right now. We got him some help. And so without you, like, maybe my son would have took his life.
Bro.
So when you deal with something like that, listen, any celebrity I've worked with, any experience I've done, there is nothing in life that is more fulfilling than to know that you took some content, you were vulnerable enough, and what I went through was not for me.
Yeah.
It was for somebody else. And the hundreds of messages that I've gotten about people wanting to take their life and say, because of this video, I'm not going to take my life. Like, I've literally got messages to say, I was thinking about taking my life until I saw this video. Do you know the feeling? And for me, it's so heavy that sometimes I just want to get into a ball and curl up, because it's like, wow, like, this is what it's for. And so when you ask me, what am I doing now? I am doing more of that. I'm taking my personal experiences and putting them into a video form to inspire more people, you know, globally. And that's all I'm focusing on for the next 12 to 15 months. And then after that, we'll see if I'll do a show. We'll see if I'll do more stuff. But it's really all about content creation right now for me. You know, doing some speaking engagements, a few of those, keeping my voice, learning my voice on different platforms. But, man, content creation at its highest is what I'm getting ready to do.
That was a fantastic answer. Yeah, that was awesome, dude. Holy cow. Like, I love that story. And props to you for not just... Because for some people, it could feel good. Like, just by him sending you a message, you're like, I did my job.
Right.
But he disappeared, and you took the action to go find his family.
Right.
Dude, that's awesome. Like, good for you.
I was scared, no lie. I mean, I was really scared. I didn't want to go on reaching out to somebody, but when he fell off the face of the earth and in the midst of conversation, I'm like, oh God, maybe he did it. And I just didn't want that on my conscience. So taking that extra step, and it just goes to show, man, the power of Facebook and the power of video and all of that good stuff too as well.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so cool. I'm just kind of just like sitting in awe. I love that stuff so much. So through all of this, you are putting in a lot of testing and experimenting and learning. Does patience come naturally to you?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I can be really patient, but I can be really impatient too. I have to calm myself down, because sometimes I do have the microwave mentality. You know, I'm kind of on the cusp of, what is it, Gen X and what am I?
Millennial?
Millennial, and I'm Gen Y though, right? I'm Gen Y, I think.
Okay.
So I have this thing where sometimes that instant gratification and like wanting things there. I mean, if you look at our society right now, you can sit on your couch. You can get a date from your couch. You know, you can get food from your couch. You can get groceries delivered from your couch. You can get a book same day ordered to you. I mean, sent to you. Everything is instant. You know, you can get in your car and go anywhere you want to go. You can call an Uber. Everything is instant. And so for me right now, looking back at it, I've been patient. And patience has gotten me to this point of having true confidence and competence to be able to go out, because the responsibility, going back to the calling, is so much, man. And being around these celebrities to see how they deal with the interaction of the world and how people, you know, the things that they say or they don't say and how they're criticized and judged. I had to go through these 7 years to be able to learn how they walk, how they talk, how they think, because I understand that my calling is for me to serve the masses. And so that comes with a huge responsibility. And so that I've been patient over the last 7 years, but it was that patience, even if it was something subconsciously that I was doing, it happened. And so now it's about I'm a little bit impatient because I'm ready to get out there. I'm ready to get out there. And the thing that I'm conscious about now, I keep saying conscious, but yeah, the thing that I'm conscious about now, Brian, you don't compare yourself to nobody else in their journey. This is your journey. You don't compare anything, the videos, the views. Like, of course you want to be able to scale, but what's truly going to make a difference in your life right now is if you just focus on the content and the specifics and the things that you're doing, and everything else will happen. I'm not a Brendan Burchard. I'm not a Trent Shelton. I'm not a Jay Shetty. I'm not a Lewis Howes. I am Brian DeMond Johnson.
Boom.
And that's it, you know? So that's how I look at it. I'm very mindful of that. I don't want to compare myself to nobody else because, you know, if you get me talking, I'm really country. You know, nobody else is me, and Brian is Brian. And so, you know, that's one thing that I'm really keeping in the top of my mind, but I feel like these individuals have paved and carved out the way, and they've given us a process. And kind of about what you said earlier, that at the end of the day, like, you know, what Brendan says is what Brendan says, and I think it works. But sometimes you got to take what he says and make it work for you.
Yeah.
And that takes some testing and all that other good stuff. So I'm in a great place, man. I'm happy. You know, I've won 2 Emmys on Carpool Karaoke.
Yes.
This is my last season because I'm at that place where I'm really ready to go out. And it's very difficult to do that, trying to do both, you know. And so I'm really centering myself and getting more focused and aligned.
Cool.
And
that's kind of what I was going to ask too, is like, jumping into one. Dude, I'm excited for you, man. This is going to be really cool to watch your meteoric. That's not the. Is that how do you say it? Meteoric. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
Ascension.
Yeah.
You're going to rocket taking off. So you have a ton of success. You're happy. But what challenges you every day right now?
Challenge me to do what?
Just in general. Like, do you have anxiety? Do you, like, what? Because we're all human.
Yeah.
And for me, dude, like, even before you guys came, you guys can't see, but, like, before you came, like, I woke up, 6:30, and I was in a state of, not anxiety, but just immediate, just reacting to the world.
Right.
I, had to meditate, had to drink my tea, I had to, like, eat breakfast and, like, kind of study and, finishing some podcasts to get into the state. And I've noticed I've had to do this every day. And this is newer for me this year, that I've never had to do that before.
Right.
Like, I would just woke up and I was ready to go.
Right.
But, having more life experiences, you do kind of have those things you have to work through. So what are those things that you have to work through every day?
Defeating self and ending bad habits, getting rid of bad habits, and putting together a process that allows me to stay consistent. I struggle with depression. I talk about that in my book. I have a therapist. I have processes and things that I have to do to overcome. I know that if I don't work out, I know what happens. I know if I don't go see my therapist, I know what happens. I know what happens if I drink too much. There's so many things that have the ability to affect me in a large way. If I'm not volunteering, if I'm not actively working or putting out some sort of inspirational content, if I'm not giving something to people, like, I feel a certain type of way. So I'm very conscious of that. And for me, man, it's a matter of the fact that I know it. Every day is a struggle. But right now, the biggest thing for me is that we're getting ready to make this transition. I say me and my business partner, we're making this transition to really, truly scale these videos and put them out in a way where they really do change lives. And there's a financial piece to that. And so I think a lot of times we go out and we want to create content, but it takes money.
It really does.
It takes money, because you're in this pond or this sea of everybody that's trying to do stuff. And there's a lot of things I've learned from Jay. There's a lot of things I've learned from Trent and people that are putting out, high-level content. But it takes money. So for us right now, it's really about how can I take my experiences, package them up, and put them out in a way where we're able to generate revenue in order to fund what we want to do. Chapter 6 in this book is all about cash flow. It's my dream to inspire, so I got to create and generate the cash flow in order to go out doing that. So that's probably one of my biggest challenges right now, because I know a lot of times we go out and we don't have no financial model in place. We're inspired to want to create, and that's great. But you got to have some sort of financial piece on the front end. And I think a lot of times what I was doing here recently, I was trying to tell people a book is the best way to start. And this doesn't have to be your memoir. It doesn't have to be your grand opus. But you have some sort of skills that you can actually give back to the world, and you can package that up and put it into a book. So this thing is not only, it's doing several things. We do a good deed by putting this out. I get a chance to speak, but I get a chance to help people. Like, this book is interactive. By the time you finish the book, like, you have,
that's dope.
You have a plan. And one thing I had to take into consideration when I wrote this is strictly for beginners. And sometimes even me, I have to go back to the beginning and learn stuff, whether it be about a webinar, whether it be about building your email list or whatever it is, you got to learn. So this is a book for beginners. We got more to come. And so my biggest challenge right now, man, is just getting out of my own way and making shit happen.
Live your dreams out loud.
Yeah. Live your dreams out loud. Live your dreams is a very cliche term, but out loud is really about you taking the action.
Okay, yeah, so that's good. So is that the main difference? Because, live your dreams. Everyone says that. So what's the differentiator with out loud?
Out loud is about you taking the action. I think, like you said, live your dreams is a very cliche term. But for me, it's like I want to give you the tangible steps, because as a dreamer, sometimes your mind is really lucid. You're all over the place. I wanted it to be tangible. I wanted it to be really, really tangible. So that's why we made the book interactive. And like I said, it's not the standard, but it is a way and a process and a methodology for you to go about thinking, I'm here. If I read this book, by the time I read this book, hopefully I'm able to develop a plan to actually go live my dreams out loud. So you live the dream. I mean, when you read the book, you're kind of like living the dream, but out loud is about you taking action once you get the knowledge and the information to go out and do what you need to do.
That's dope. Okay, so we're getting close to wrapping up.
Yep.
But I have a segment in the show. It's called Scroll My Soul.
Okay.
So what that means is you can see them on my computer. Let me find this note real quick. But what happens is, from reading books, conversations, what have you, anything I'm inspired by, it could be a quote or my own thought. I have a huge running list, and so I'm going to scroll.
Yep.
And I stop.
Okay.
So it's like, kind of a roulette situation. And then I just ask, like, what does it remind you of? What thoughts come up? Just what you think about
Immediate thoughts.
Ooh, okay. So this is what. Here we go. So this thought says, don't believe everything you think. Your thoughts are based on a true story, not 100% factual.
Don't believe everything that you think.
Your thoughts are based on a true story, but not 100% factual.
I mean, that's the quote itself. I mean, it says a lot, I mean,
yeah.
It's true. Like you don't believe, like if I believed everything that I thought, because there's a lot of negative shit in there too as well. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today. So that whole thing about don't believe everything you think your thoughts are based on a true story, not 100% factual.
Or I like the one right below it. We can switch this up too. So the more conclusions you make, the less alive you become. That's interesting. So the more conclusions you make, the less alive you become. Because
you spend so much time coming up with the conclusions instead of just living. I see that as being more present. And that's what I love about a person like Brendan. Like, it talks about you being present instead of being in your mind, drawing up all these false narratives, these conclusions, and you don't necessarily get to a place where you're just present and you're just living. And that's so important. So, yeah, to that second point, I do know. I got to come back to that first one, though. It's kind of, I want to be able to explain that a little bit better. But is there another one that you want to go through?
It can be food for thought.
Yeah.
Well, dude, just look on that page. Does anything pop up to you? I only usually just do one. But
I like that one. I like Kobe's challenge. Reach out to someone you have been thinking about. I think that's important. I think going back to what I was saying about having processes in place, I think it's so important to just randomly reach out to somebody and check on them and tell them that you love them. I've done that. I don't do it as much as I should, but I've done it, and it's very rewarding and fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah, because like if you think we pull out, it's fine. I actually did this. I can't remember. I was in it on the other day flying in the airport. You could just scroll aimlessly.
Yeah.
How about you send 5 texts?
Yeah, as long as it's not your ex,
We won't get into that.
But yeah, you can do it. You can do it. And I'll say this, for those that are watching this, anybody that's, you're trying to figure life out, find somebody that's already done this in some kind of way. It doesn't have to be the exact thing. And, one thing I'm working on personally is getting out of my own way, in the sense where I know and I understand that sometimes I overthink things, versus just taking the action. And everything doesn't have to be, you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to have it all together. You will never have it all together. There's no such thing as a perfect life. Perfection does not exist. It may be what's best, but it's not perfection, because anything can always be tweaked and altered. And so if you're in this process right now of just trying to figure it out, find somebody that's already been successful, because I just posted about this today. I was talking about opportunity cost. An opportunity cost in a sense of, to make this really tangible, I've been trying to do videos for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've missed out on so many opportunities because it's cost me a lot of money. It's cost me a lot of time. It's cost me a lot of pain. And I wasn't really hitting the mark. But when I made a decision to invest into myself, to find somebody that's already been really successful at doing it, it goes back to the foundation of what brought me to LA. You know, finding somebody that's already been successful at what it is that you want to do. And when I made the investment into the production of the videos, I learned what to do. And it cost me a lot. It cost me a lot to invest, but you can look at that. That's very subjective. That was an investment, but it cost me a lot of time. If I would have made this investment years ago, would I be in a different position? I don't know. But don't let, when it comes to opportunity costs, if there's something or somebody, if there's a coach, if there's a service, something that you need to invest into that's going to scale or accelerate your path, don't try to do everything on your own. It's too taxing on your overall psyche. Yeah.
I love it, dude. Well, man, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come chill in the Palisades and have a dope convo, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. Look at this place, dude. Like, you're living the life. This is what everybody, dreams of. You're in the Palisades. You're in this bungalow. You got Wi-Fi. Yeah. All you need to do is just grab a book and a glass of wine, and you'll be all right.
Dude, this is this is what I love. And for real, man, I really appreciate this. It means the world to me. Is there anything else on your mind, your heart, or your soul that you want to share before we peace out?
Yeah, I want to say to you, congratulations to you for taking the journey. And it's a journey,
Yeah, it is. And already 3 weeks in.
Yeah, and you're just getting started.
Barely.
And so, I'm trying to do better about, how I spread my time. But, Julie, I met her at Powerful You for the first time, and I checked you out, and I normally sometimes just don't even look at people. I just, if I pitch it to my team and they like it, then we'll do it. But I did some research on you too as well. And I just want to say, man, just stay steadfast in the journey. Like, you're committed to it now. And what you're doing right now is, you can't really see and fathom what's going to come, but the consistency and the commitment will breed so much stuff that you can't even really see. And so those two things will are the success. And so when times get hard and you're not necessarily hitting the marks that you want to, stop thinking about yourself and think about the people that you're serving. Maybe put out a video. Tell people exactly how you feel, because people want to be a part of your journey. They want to be a part, and they want to grow with you through this. So as you're on this journey, man, just continue to inspire. But I just want to say thank you for creating this platform. Thank you for, doing the work, and thank you for being a person that's, embodying the spirit of what it is that you're teaching and you're doing.
Dude, that means a lot, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, we're out of here. Live your dreams, not quietly. Live them out loud.
Can I tell them where to go get the book?
Dude,
liveyourdreamsoutloud.com. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I'm actually doing a free training next week, I think it is. It's all about transforming your life, giving you the inspiration and motivation that you need to get started with your dream path. The 6 steps that I've developed. It's a deeper dive of this actual book. So if you go to liveyourdreamsoutloud.com, you can get all of that information. So thank you all so much for your support. Keep supporting this man. We love him and what he's doing.
Thanks, bro. All right. Adios, y'all.